This is the Jelly Blue Tactile Switches. Yet another budget tactile from Akko, but just a recolor of the Jelly Sponge, coming in with the same material and has the same dual tactile bump. Do they sound and feel the same? Let's find out. What is going on, guys? Alex here and welcome back to my channel. We are back with yet another jelly switches. Now I know I said on my last video that the jelly pinks would be the last one that I'll be covering, but I think it's gonna be a shame if I won't cover all of the jelly switches. So the jelly blues are a tactile switch and a recolor of the jelly sponge, and I just wanted to try them out to see if it's just really a recolor. But before we start the video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new for more Switch reviews. So in today's video, we'll be doing the usual, of course, is stock versus lube comparison and another Soundtest comparison with the Jelly Sponge, the CS Ocean Blue, and the CS Lavender Purple. Of course, we'll be breaking down the materials that was used on the Switch, and if you want to hear my thoughts and opinion about the Akko Blue or the Akko Jelly Blue, please do stick around at the end of the Soundtest. And a quick disclaimer, the sound and experience may vary depending on your keyboard build. We'll be of course using my Vega 65. It has a polycarbonate plate, a PCB to plate foam, and one case film. The keycaps would be a Geek Arc PBT, and the switches was lubed with Bose 3203 and 105 grade 0 on the springs. So with that out of the way, please do enjoy the sound test. So that was the sound test for the Akko Jelly Blue. Let me know what you think about them on the comment section down below. Would love to have a discussion with you guys. I always love reading your comments and your opinions about the switches. Before we talk about my thoughts and opinion about the Jelly Blue, let's go ahead and break down the materials that was used on the switch. So as you've guessed it, these are still a 3-pin switch. And it is using an MX style housing. So we still have polycarbonate that was used for the top and bottom housing. Of course, we have POM for the stem. And lastly, the springs, which are the same as the jelly sponge with a long 22mm 2-stage spring. Also, here are some spring comparison with the other tactile switches. So that was the materials that was used on the Jelly Blue, and if you made it up to this point, I would like to say thank you for staying. Now let's talk about my thoughts and opinion on the switches. But again, please do remember my disclaimer that the sound and experience may vary depending on your keyboard build. Again, I'm using the Vega 65 with a polycarbonate plate, a PCB to plate foam, and one case film. For the keycaps, I was using a Geek Arc PBT set, and for the lube, I use a Turbosis 3203 and 105 grade 0 on the springs. Finally, let's talk about my thoughts on the feel. Well, on stock, I can really say that of course, it feels like the jelly sponge with the 2-stage spring and the dual tactile bump. You can really feel the tactility, which again, I actually find it harsh for my liking, but somehow I actually got a hang of it. But I still don't see myself using this on a daily as a tactile. I did lube mine, but with a light application to avoid the legs so that it won't affect the tactility. Honestly, I still prefer the lavender purple over these, but I don't know, maybe I'm still not used to the dual tactile bump feeling. Now moving on to my thoughts on the sound. One thing that I've really noticed is that the tactile jelly switches are kinda really pingy compared to the linear jelly switches. On stock, you can really hear some pinging on the switches. I don't know, maybe that's on my batches, but also surprisingly, on my build, I find the Jelly Blue has a slightly higher pitch sounding profile compared to the Jelly Sponge. Given that it has the long 2-stage 22mm spring, it has the snappier return sound just like all the other Jelly switches. So it's a tactile that is leaning towards a clackier or higher pitch sounding profile. But I think the Akko's tactile releases needs a bit more push in terms of the sound. But don't get me wrong, I still find them like a decent sounding budget tactile. So overall, same as what is said on my Jelly Sponge review, it's a fairly decent tactile to pick up, especially if you haven't tried the dual tactile bump and the 2-stage spring. It feels the same as the Jelly Sponge. Of course, it's a recolor, but again, I did find a slight difference on the sound, but it's not really like a night and day difference between the two. Although some people said that you can't really notice the dual tactile bump, but for me, I really find the tactility a bit harsh for my preference and would still prefer the lavender purple over the two. I do suggest if you are really keen in trying them out but you are on the fence, you can just buy one box first. Since it contains 45 pieces, you can try them out on your alphas and modifiers first, and if you really like it, you can go from there. Again, this is based on my experience using the switches. At the end of the day, it will still boil down to your preference. Also, props to Akko as they named the Jelly Sponge a limited edition, but there was no price difference between the two. So that is it for the video, guys. Don't forget to like the video and let me know in the comment section on what you think about the Jelly Blue. Let's have some small discussion, and also I hope you like the review and I hope you enjoyed my videos covering the Jelly switches. I really had fun, and I've linked below a playlist of all the Jelly switch review in case you haven't seen the rest. So what's next for me? Well, I do have some JWK, KTT, and some Gateron switches to cover next. So if you want to see those reviews, let's aim for 50 likes on this video so I can release them as soon as possible. Again, thank you so much for the never-ending support. The previous videos are really doing good, so please don't forget to hit the like button, share the video if you want, and of course, subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys on the next Soundtest. Peace.